These are true-life horror and scary stories shared by people around the world. Switch off your room lights and put on your headphones. It was a cold and rainy night. I was home alone, sitting on the couch watching TV. My parents were out at a party and wouldn't be back until late. I hated being home alone, especially at night. The house always made strange creaking noises that freaked me out. As I was watching TV, I thought I heard a faint giggling sound coming from my little brother's room. It sent a chill down my spine. I muted the TV and listened closely. There it was again, a faint high-pitched giggle. It sounded like it was coming from my brother's room, where he kept all his toys. I slowly got up and walked towards his room. The closer I got, the louder the giggling became. It sounded like a little girl laughing. I opened the door slowly and peeked inside. None of the lights were on, but I could make out the shapes of all my brother's toys scattered across the floor. The laughing had stopped. An eerie silence filled the dark room now. I started to turn around to leave when suddenly I heard it again, that spine-chilling giggle coming from the corner of the room. I froze in fear. The giggle grew louder and louder until I finally summoned the courage to turn on the light. As the room filled with light, the giggling stopped. I scanned every inch but couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. Then I noticed my brother's favorite stuffed animal, a clown doll he called Mr. Jingles, was lying face down in the corner. One of its arms was twisted in an unnatural way. I could have sworn its head was turned towards me when I came in. In a panic, I rushed out of the room, turned the lights off, and shut the door tight. I ran back downstairs with my heart pounding. I knew I wouldn't be going back into that room again tonight, or ever again if I could help it. I prayed for my parents to come home soon. I couldn't shake the feeling that Mr. Jingles had been watching me, waiting for me in the dark. My daughter loves her dollhouse. She got it as a gift for her 7th birthday and has played with it every day since. She's given each of the plastic dolls names and personalities and creates little stories as she moves them from room to room. Overall, it seems like a very sweet, imaginative game for a young girl. But lately some strange things have been happening with the dollhouse. A couple weeks ago, my daughter came crying to me, saying her favorite doll, Becky, had gone missing. We searched it everywhere but couldn't find it. She was inconsolable. A day later, suddenly Becky reappeared inside the dollhouse, tucked into one of the miniature beds. My daughter was overjoyed and couldn't understand how she missed seeing Becky there earlier. Another time I was cleaning up the playroom and accidentally bumped into the dollhouse. When I peered inside to check for damage, I was startled to see the furniture and dolls arranged in bizarre positions. The dining table and chairs were overturned, the doll beds were thrown about, and some dolls were scattered on the floor, while others seemed to be cowering in corners. I know my daughter is usually very careful about putting things back properly when she's done playing. She was disturbed when she saw the mess, insisting she always leaves the dollhouse neat. But the most frightening incident was a couple nights ago. My daughter woke up screaming from a nightmare about her dolls coming to life. She said they started slowly moving their heads and limbs, and then got up and started staggering towards her menacingly. I told her it was just a bad dream, but then I heard crashes coming from the playroom. We rushed in and saw the dollhouse littered with dolls sprawled about as if they'd been thrown violently. My daughter broke down crying that her beloved dolls were ruined. I don't understand what's going on with the dollhouse, but my daughter is now too scared to play with it. I plan to get rid of it soon because I fear whatever dark forces have invaded our home through this toy. Shortly after my 8-year-old son James died in a tragic accident, my grieving mother-in-law sent over a box of his favorite toys, hoping it would bring me some comfort. Most of the items were typical things young boys enjoy: toy cars, action figures, stuffed animals. But one doll in particular gave me chills. It was a vintage handmade clown doll with a porcelain face, red yarn hair, and dressed in a faded, colorful costume. My mother-in-law said she found it at a thrift store years ago, and James immediately adopted it as his own. He even gave it a name, Mr. Jangles. I disliked clowns and always thought Mr. Jangles had a creepy grin. His beady glass eyes seemed to follow me whenever I walked by. But James loved Mr. Jangles. carrying him everywhere and even sleeping with him in bed. After my son's passing, I packed up all his toys except Mr. Jangles. Something about that doll unsettled me. Late one night, while sitting in James's room mourning, I thought I saw the clown's head move slightly. I jumped up terrified and slammed the door shut. Over the next few nights, I kept hearing faint giggling and honking sounds. And every time I passed by James's room, the clown doll seemed to be in a different position, usually propped up facing the doorway, as if waiting for me. One evening I worked up the nerve to go into the bedroom and inspect the doll. That's when I discovered a winding key on its back. Slowly turning the key, a horrifying high-pitched laughter echoed through the room. Without hesitation, I grabbed the clown and threw it into the garbage can. A week later, I awoke to see Mr. Jangles sitting upright at the foot of my bed, gleaming knife in hand. That was the last thing I saw before everything went dark. I pray no other child falls prey to that evil doll. It was our twin daughter's birthday, and we wanted to get them something extra special this year. At the toy store, we stumbled upon the latest interactive baby dolls that can cry, giggle, and respond when you feed or rock them. They seemed so cute and lifelike. Our girls were enchanted the moment they opened the gift boxes and held their new babies in their arms. That night, after the festivities, we tucked the twins and their new dolls snugly into bed. Around 2 a.m., we were startled awake by the sound of loud wailing and screeching. We rushed into our daughter's bedroom to find the girls cowering in a corner, crying hysterically while the dolls were thrashing around violently in the cribs, their limbs flailing and eyes glowing red. My husband quickly grabbed the demonic dolls and locked them in the hallway bathroom. The girls said the dolls' eyes had started blinking and they began muttering "Mama" over and over in creepy, distorted voices. When my daughters tried calming them, the dolls turned aggressive and started snapping their jaws like rabid animals. We let the girls sleep in our room and kept the disturbing toys confined to the bathroom for the night. The next morning, my husband opened the door cautiously with a baseball bat in hand. The dolls were lifeless once again, sprawled out with blank stares. We promptly threw them in the trash, though the memory of their demonic possession will haunt us forever. Our daughters were traumatized and have refused to play with dolls since. We learned our lesson. No more lifelike, interactive toys in this house.